company, and because I'm not marketing creative, we'll just use Stark Industries, Marvel Comics. We put in the company information. Yes, we also have some integrations, so if you're using anything from Autotask to VMS, ConnectWise, IT Glue, we can pull over some information from there. We actually have some other cool integrations, but I'm not going through that here. Once we have our company information, we're going to create a new audit. And again, an audit is just a report. It's a way to take all that technical information and present it back so people can understand it. And the way we do this, even though it's manual, we can use templates. You tend to reuse a lot of the same framework, right? You're using a lot of the same pieces from client to client. There's not that much that's drastically different. But by using templates, we can simplify our data entry. And now the next step is the simplicity piece. This is where we're adding what are called summary statements. Think of it like a tweet. How do you explain in your own words why this particular item you're looking at in the client's environment is red, they should pay attention to it, or why it's green? And we can either use these kind of recurring summary statements. You could also add your own if there's something unique about that client. And once we enter our summary statements, which I'm doing, I talk fast, but sometimes in the demo does. It's the New England in me. So once we enter a few summary statements, we're ready to print a report. Go to our reports tab. Everything is customizable in terms of what you put on that report. You can put your own cover page, you could upload a custom one, you can put the client's logo on that page. We can export it to either a PDF or PowerPoint if you're presenting remotely. But super easy. A few seconds later, we now have a PDF report we can print out that goes through the whole premise of sales. There's emotion, which we show people basically what's wrong with your environment. There's simplicity, where we explain why each of these items is important. And we can even show the impact to their business, which is the storytelling component. We show them there's a problem that we can solve. We have a whole bunch of infographics that are tied to this. And this process, again, this one audit took 2 minutes and 38 seconds to do on that side. Even if you get super granular and it takes you a bunch more time, what is your time worth? So, anyone, show me, what's your time worth? Anybody? Shout out a number. $150 an hour. Going once? Anybody else? $300. $300 an hour. Anybody else? You guys are gonna shit yourselves, and I should tell you. Sorry, not politically correct. I used to tell a joke up front, but HR told me I couldn't tell it anymore, so if you want to hear it afterwards, come see me. So, $150 an hour. What size clients are your target audience? Good client.
You're just asking.
Yeah.
You're asking for me?
Anyone.
Size client, 75.
That's a pretty good size client, right?
Yeah.
So that's what? At least $10,000 a month? So, what's the way, let's using a smaller number. Let's say, would you take a $2,500 a month client? Anybody? Okay, it's a small client, right? $2,500 a month? Anyone know what the average MSP profit margin is or should be? 65%, let's even round it down, call it 60%. So $2,500 a month, 60%, that's a $1,500 a month profit. Over 3 years, it's $54,000 profit. How many hours does it take you to close that deal? Total, 4 or 5 hours max, meeting with the client, doing the proposal. What's your time worth? Right? $10,000 an hour. You want to grow your business? Think like that. If you're doing anything right now that's not netting you $10,000 an hour, stop doing it and pay someone else to do it. Because if you're not focused on sales, you are not going to grow your business. You get one of those clients every week, every month. Do the math in terms of growing your business. This is why it's so important. And so when someone says audit's manual, I'm like, yeah, even if it takes you an hour, your time is so valuable. Why do you want to spend it doing PowerPoints and Excel spreadsheets and when all you're really trying to do is sell a client and get them to buy from you? So we talk about being engaging. Anyone have kids that drive? Right. It's terrifying. I've already figured out with my older daughter that whatever they charge for my insurance policy, I'm making money. I don't know how much damage, but it's been a lot. We call it idiot lights, right? On the dashboard, the lights are red. What do you do when you see this on your dashboard? Ideally, you stop. Hopefully, read the manual. No one opens it, but You stop, right? You see red. This is a warning sign. Red means stop. Okay? Same thing with audit. Red, people stop. It tracks emotion. Actually, how many people have kids again driving or about to drive? Okay, this is a slide you want to take a picture of. It's a shortcut. So, going back, we talked about red. Red means stop. This is why it's so important, because when you look at red, people panic. They think red's like the worst thing in the world. And immediately they're gonna go back and like, oh my God, it's red, the earth is crashing. I'm pregnant, I have Ebola. So red means stop and pay attention. That's why it's so impactful. And when we do that, we're able to start to identify why it's so critical for them to make a change. And people are very change adverse. So how many times have you been into a prospect and you know that the person there is completely dropping the ball, right? They're not doing a great job. They're not, you're finding all kinds of mistakes all over the network. But you hear, well, no, they've been with me for 10 years. I'm kind of loyal to them. I want to give them another shot. Or it's the owner's son, or whoever it may be. People are very loyal. They don't want to make a change. And part of that is something called change bias. Anyone ever heard of the Monty Hall problem? So there's an old game show called Let's Make a Deal. The game show host Monty Hall. This is like a proof of change bias. At the end of the game show, there were 3 doors, and they have the contestant pick a door. They said, hey, behind one of these doors is a new car, and behind the other 2 is something else, apparently a goat. And the contestant picks a door, and then Monty goes, let's say they pick door number 1, and Monty opens door number 3. He says, okay, do you want to stay with your original choice or switch? So, what should you do? Always switch. It almost doubles your odds as part of it. I know it sounds weird, but your odds are significantly greater if you switch, but most people don't because of the change bias. They don't want to make a change because there's an implied risk to change. They don't know the math behind it. All they know is, well, if I change, what if? As part of that. So if you don't identify that your solution is significantly better than what they currently have and do it in a way that they can understand, it's really hard to overcome that change bias, right? You have to show them at some point, what does good look like? So we help you do that with the presentation, with the audit report. Lastly, we talk about profit. I like this young guy over here in the corner. Frank Benedetto is actually the one who started audit. And I've known Frank for a number of years before that. And so I wanted to put his money where his mouth is and said, okay, Frank, he recently just sold his MSP, but he owned it even through acquisition through Kaseya. And it was really interesting to go back. I said, let's go back to when audit was started back in 2017, and let's look over the years following what happened to your business and what's made a change. I want to see if this actually tells a story and it really has impact to that. So we first looked at the MRR, because MRR actually significantly increased from 2017 to 2022. These are real numbers, by the way, that are on here. His number of clients increased, not substantially, but increased enough. This one's super interesting. His MRR per client quadrupled between 2017 and 2022. In 5 years, he quadrupled his revenue per client. His total revenue increased, his total income increased. The only metric that went down a little bit was his net operating income. Anyone want to guess why? How many hours Frank spent running his MSP over the past year? 0. Completely passive revenue. He built a company that was profitable, he hired the right people in it, and it started to run itself. And by the way, that number actually started turning back up again after this. So when we look at that, we look at revenue potential. That's another great use of doing this, what we call a comparison report. When you can identify there are pieces that you're selling right now, and you can show them what they should look like. Some things, by the way, go the opposite direction. Not everything goes red, yellow, green in that order. There are some things that may go the opposite way. So you're identifying some massive upsell and cross-sell opportunities as part of that. So when I see the audit report, a lot of people see red, I see green. Because this is a great way for you to identify to your prospect, into your existing clients, what's missing and what they have to do about it. I'm telling you, people, you put this in front of them, people go, why is that box still yellow? How do I get that to green? They start buying green boxes, it's crazy, that's part of it. So part of what we introduced in audit was called the sales white space. It's a great way of kind of showing visibly across your entire customer base and your product line what the revenue potential is across that. Anyone do this on a spreadsheet? I used to do it on a spreadsheet years ago, right? You try to get the most number of your clients to buy the largest percentage of your stack. And they're not going to do it if you just put a price in front of them. You have to explain why it's a risk and why they should do it. So this is a huge money-making opportunity for MSPs. This is the reason why Frank quadrupled his MRR per client, is making sure that they were buying the majority of his technology stack. And by the way, when they do that, I will bet you anything that the clients that you have that spend the most amount of money with you and that buy the largest percentage of your tech stack are also the happiest, the most profitable, the most secure, and have the fewest problems. Anybody challenge that? So when you think of, I don't want to go into my client and always feel like I'm selling stuff, why? Because when you do, you're helping them. And we have to get past that mindset that upsell and cross-sell is a bad word, right? We don't want to feel like we're upselling them, but we're doing it to help them. You're not just selling them garbage. So I kind of introduced a few things in terms of some of the cool products that we have at Kaseya and how to use Audit. You could go back, for example, and you could look at this individual category we looked at. One of the items we identified with red was the Azure backup, and we could look at the Azure backup, we could single it out and say, hey look, this is red, but this is a great opportunity to upsell the Datto DCMA. And then from there, we can identify in the sales white space what the revenue potential is. Now that one particular item will just show me your opportunities for each client. That can be $500 a month in one box on one report. That's part of that. That's $6,000 a year by identifying one thing with one client. Anybody feel they can't upsell the crap out of their clients right now?
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard to go through this. Anyone familiar with the IT Complete Security Suite? So if you haven't seen it yet, this is super cool. Kaseya has a deal that they've worked out with a national insurance provider for your clients and for you, that if your clients are on these 5 security items in the technology stack for security, and you have a choice on the, whether it's Datto, SaaS, Defense, or Graphis, if they have all 5 of these, they get guaranteed coverage. I don't want to overstep. I believe it's $1 million guaranteed with an optional $500,000 after that. And they could save thousands a year on their cybersecurity policy. So, anyone make money selling insurance? None of us, right? You can't. It's regulated. We can't get commission. We can't get kickbacks. But if you could save your customer thousands and they give you that money instead to make them more secure, you could actually make them more secure, put the thousands of dollars in your pocket, and very little out of their pocket, if anything. That's a no-brainer sale as well, right? You're just shifting the money from the insurance carriers to you and doing a better thing for your client. So it's another great use of Audit. How do we identify what's missing in the IT Complete Security Suite? How do we show them how we're going to make that green? What's going to change there? So these are just multiple ways you can use this from an upsell potential to make thousands and thousands of dollars per client on a pretty regular basis across the board. So again, going back, what's your time worth? At least $10,000 an hour. Actually, you get the bigger clients probably worth a lot more than that, right? So really quick, summarize, what can Audit do for you? Number 1, we're going to help you close more sales. Number 2, increase your recurring revenue per client. Number 3, we're going to save you time. Number 4, we're going to help you ultimately grow your MSP. That's what we are. We're a sales tool, we're not a technical tool. And growing your MSP is all about the sales side of it. So for anyone that thinks Audit's expensive, I can tell you right now, it's $100 a month when you buy the paid license. For 25 clients, we sell blocks of 25, unlimited audits, you do them for all of them. Anyone feel they can't make $100 a month the first time they meet with a client? Instant ROI on that. Plenty of things that are more expensive than Audit. Anyone buy eggs last year? Right? Gas station sushi?
Ooh.
I don't know what this is, but it's gotta be more expensive than Audit.
Close.
So if you aren't on it yet, if you're using any Kaseya or Datto product, talk to your account manager, make sure you get access to Kaseya One. It's free. Kaseya One is where Kaseya is moving their unified entry. It's like a portal to access all of the products, Datto and Kaseya as part of that. All you need to do to get Audit is get access to Kaseya One, and Audit's going to show up under a block called My Modules when you log in. and you click on it, and it logs you in single sign-on. That's as easy as it can get. And it takes about a week to get done. If anyone wants to connect, this is either my contact information or a really bad security flaw, so anyone want to scan it and tell me? Any questions?